Imagine a courtroom thick with tension, the air heavy with judgment, where a female SEAL sniper stands handcuffed, her reputation in tatters, and the weight of 1,000 accusing eyes bearing down on her. Then, in a single heartbeat, an admiral strides in, his presence like a thunderclap, freezing every whisper, every smirk, as a truth so powerful unfolds it could shatter hearts and rewrite destinies. This is the story of Lieutenant Kara Voss, a woman whose courage defied the battlefield and the courtroom, pulling you into an emotional whirlwind you won't forget. The courtroom in San Diego smelled of polished wood and stale coffee, the kind of place where fates are sealed under the hum of fluorescent lights and the rustle of legal papers. Kara Voss stood at the defendant's table, her wrists bound in cold steel handcuffs that bit into her skin, a stark contrast to the calloused hands that had once steadied a sniper rifle through desert storms. At 32, she was lean and weathered, her blonde hair cropped short, her hazel eyes sharp but weary, carrying the ghosts of missions she could never unsee. The gallery buzzed with murmurs, reporters, Navy brass, and former teammates who once called her one of their own, now whispering words like traitor and disgrace. Her dress blues hung crisp on her frame, but the Navy cross pinned to her chest felt like a cruel irony, a reminder of the valor they now questioned. The charges were damning: insubordination, endangering her unit, a rogue op in Kandahar that left a trail of chaos and a dead civilian. The prosecution painted her as reckless, a loose cannon who'd betrayed the SEAL's sacred code. But Kara stood tall, her jaw set, the faint scar along her cheek a memento from a shrapnel blast twitching slightly as she swallowed the urge to scream her truth. She'd been here before, not in cuffs, but in moments where survival hinged on a single choice, and she knew something was coming, something that would turn this trial upside down. As the judge's gavel echoed, ready to move forward, the double doors swung open with a force that silenced the room, and all eyes turned to a figure who would change everything. Kara's journey to that courtroom began years earlier, on the dusty ranges of Coronado, where she'd clawed her way through Bud-S training as one of the first women to earn the SEAL Trident. The memory of salt-soaked fatigues and instructors barking orders lingered like the taste of blood in her mouth. She was 25 then, a former collegiate sharpshooter with a chip on her shoulder and a heart full of fire, driven by a promise to her late brother, a Marine killed in Fallujah, to serve in ways he never could. Her precision with a rifle was uncanny, every shot a whisper of deadly calm, every target a testament to discipline forged in grief. But the men around her didn't make it easy. They tested her, mocked her, called her the girl with the gun, their laughter sharp as shrapnel in the barracks. Yet Kara thrived, her kills and training drills earning grudging nods, her resilience silencing doubters one by one. By the time she deployed to Afghanistan, she was a legend in whispers, a sniper who could thread a bullet through a sandstorm and hit a target half a mile away. But Kandahar changed everything. A night op, a split-second decision, and a civilian caught in the crossfire. The mission was classified, the details buried, but the fallout branded her a pariah. As she stood in that courtroom, the weight of that night pressed harder than the cuffs. But the Admiral's entrance was about to unravel a story no one saw coming. The Admiral was Thomas Reddick, a towering figure with silver hair and a chest heavy with ribbons, his eyes like storm clouds holding secrets from decades at sea. The room froze as he strode in, his polished shoes clicking on the tile, each step a drumbeat of authority that demanded attention. Even the judge paused, his gavel hovering, as Reddick's gaze swept the room, landing on Kara with a weight that felt both heavy and warm, like a father's hand on a shoulder. "Your Honor," his voice boomed, steady but laced with an emotion that made throats tighten. "I request permission to address the court." The prosecutor objected, his voice shrill, but the judge waved him off. Curiosity piqued. Reddick stood beside Kara, his presence a shield against the glares, and began to speak, his words peeling back layers of secrecy like skin from a wound. "Lieutenant Voss didn't act alone in Kandahar," he said, his tone cutting through the murmurs. "She acted on my orders I gave to protect lives that can't be named here." Gasps rippled through the gallery, pencils scratching furiously as reporters leaned forward, sensing history in the making. Kara's heart pounded, memories flooding back, the encrypted radio call, Reddick's voice in her earpiece under a moonless Afghan sky, ordering her to take the shot no one else could. The civilian's death was a tragedy, but the target, a high-value insurgent with plans to bomb a school, had been eliminated. Reddick's orders were off-book, a black op to save hundreds, and Kara had carried the burden alone to protect him. Now, he was here, risking his own career to set the record straight. The courtroom felt smaller now. The air charged with the weight of truth unveiled. Reddick's voice softened as he turned to Kara, his eyes glistening with something rare for a man of his rank. Regret. She took the fall to protect the mission, to protect me, to protect the Navy's honor, he said, his words landing like stones in a still pond. This woman saved lives, and we chained her for it. The gallery was a sea of stunned faces, her former teammates, their heads bowed, some with tears streaking silently down weathered cheeks. The prosecutor, his confidence crumbling. Even the judge, shifting uncomfortably, sensing the scales of justice tipping. Kara's own eyes burned, but she held her ground. The scar on her cheek a badge of battles fought, the cuffs a temporary cage for a spirit that refused to break. She remembered the Kandahar night vividly, the sand gritty under her belly, the scope's cold metal against her cheek, the weight of Reddick's order heavy as the rifle itself. She'd pulled the trigger knowing the cost, knowing the civilian in the crossfire would haunt her, but also knowing a school full of children would see another dawn. As Reddick detailed the op, declassifying just enough to clear her name, the room felt the raw pulse of sacrifice, a connection to something deeper than rank or rules. But the story wasn't over. There was a deeper wound, a personal loss that tied Kara to Reddick in ways no one knew yet. Kara's brother Michael had been Reddick's protege, a young Marine officer under his command in Iraq. The Admiral had been there when Michael took a sniper's bullet in Fallujah, cradling him as he bled out in the dust, promising to watch over his family. That promise had forged an unspoken bond, one that led Reddick to guide Kara from afar, pushing her toward the SEALs when she doubted herself, whispering encouragement through letters signed only a friend. She'd carried his words into training, into war, into that fateful shot in Kandahar. Now, as he stood beside her, he revealed this to the court, his voice breaking as he spoke of Michael's courage, mirrored now in Kara's unwavering resolve. "She's not just a SEAL," he said. "She's the daughter of a man who taught me what sacrifice means." The gallery wept openly now, the emotional tide overwhelming, as Kara's teammates realized their betrayal in doubting her. Ramirez, a burly SEAL who'd once mocked her aim, stood and saluted, his hand trembling, sparking a wave of salutes from others, a silent apology etched in their faces. The judge, moved, called a recess, but the moment lingered, a cinematic pause where hearts connected across pain and redemption. The trial shifted after Reddick's testimony, the charges unraveling like a poorly tied knot. Evidence emerged to classified memos, radio logs corroborating Kara's story, painting her not as a rogue but as a soldier who'd carried out an impossible order with precision and honor. The prosecution scrambled, but the tide had turned. In the recess, Kara sat in a holding room, the cuffs finally off, rubbing her wrists as Reddick approached. "I should have come forward sooner," he said, his voice low, heavy with guilt. Kara met his gaze, her own voice steady despite the storm inside. "You kept your promise to Michael, that's enough." Their shared silence was a bridge over years of loss, a moment of deep human connection that healed wounds deeper than any courtroom could touch. Back in session, the judge dismissed the charges, his voice thick with respect as he addressed Kara directly. "Lieutenant Voss, your service honors us all." The gavel fell, a sound of freedom, but Kara's heart carried the bittersweet weight of those who'd never know her truth. Outside the courthouse, the San Diego sun was blinding, the air warm with the scent of eucalyptus and sea salt. Her teammates waited, no longer a jury of skeptics, but a family forged anew. Ramirez stepped forward, offering a hand, then a hug, his voice rough. "We were wrong, Kara. You're the best of us." Others followed, their apologies, unspoken but felt in the grip of their hands, the nods of respect. Her mother, a frail figure in the crowd, rushed to embrace her, tears soaking Kara's uniform. As they held each other, Michael's absence a silent presence between them. Reddick watched from a distance, his salute a final gift, a passing of the torch. Kara felt the weight lift, not fully, but enough to breathe again, her scar a reminder of battles won and lost, her Navy cross gleaming with restored pride. Months later, Kara stood on a quiet beach at dusk, the waves lapping gently, a far cry from the chaos of Kandahar, or the courtroom's cold steel. She traced the scar on her cheek, thinking of Michael, of Reddick, of the teammates who now called her sister. The Navy had offered her a new command, a chance to lead, but she was still deciding, savoring the peace of this moment. Her mother joined her, handing her Michael's old dog tags, the metal warm from her pocket. "He'd be proud," she whispered, and Kara nodded, tears falling into the sand. The story closed not with fanfare, but with a heartwarming quiet, a bittersweet promise to carry on, to anchor others as she'd been anchored. The ocean stretched, endless before her, a reminder that some battles leave scars, but others forge unbreakable bonds. But there's more to Kara's story, a hidden layer of sacrifice that lingered in the shadows, waiting to pull you deeper into its emotional embrace. Before the seals, before the courtroom, Kara's life was a tapestry of small-town grit and unspoken grief in rural Pennsylvania, where the smell of cut grass and summer barbecues filled her childhood. Michael, her older brother by 5 years, was her hero, tall, with a crooked grin, teaching her to shoot tin cans off a fence with a .22, his laughter warm as sunlight. When he enlisted, she was 15, waving him off with pride, not knowing he'd return in a flag-draped coffin. His death broke her family, her father retreating into silence, her mother into prayer. Kara channeled her pain into marksmanship, winning trophies, but the void lingered. Reddick's letters, arriving mysteriously after Michael's funeral, urged her to aim higher, to honor him through service. She kept them in a shoebox, rereading them on nights when doubt crept in. Their words, a lifeline through the grueling SEAL pipeline. Coronado was a crucible. The men's skepticism was palpable, gruff voices, sidelong glances, but Kara's aim was her shield. She'd lie prone for hours, sand in her teeth, mastering windage and bullet drop while her peers whispered bets on her failure. Her first confirmed kill in Afghanistan was a warlord, a clean shot from 800 yards. But it left her hollow. Michael's dog tags heavy in her pocket. Kandahar's op was different. Reddick's voice, urgent, ordering a shot that saved lives but cost one. She'd replayed it nightly, the civilian's face etched in her mind, a ghost she couldn't outrun. The courtroom was just another battlefield, the cuffs another weight, but Reddick's entrance was her salvation, his truth her vindication. Post-trial, Kara visited Michael's grave, the stone cool under her fingers, the scent of fresh earth grounding her. She left his dog tags there, a final release, whispering, "I did it, Mike." Her teammates' respect grew, missions resumed, her rifle steady but her heart healing. The story's depth, sacrifice, loyalty, redemption wove through every choice, every shot, pulling her forward, and you with her, into a legacy that endures beyond the final gavel. But wait, there's another layer, a secret vow that binds Kara's heart, waiting to pull you back into the emotional tide.